Free agency has changed the landscape for a bunch of teams for the 2025 season, but the work is not done yet. What are the biggest holes remaining on some of the rosters across the league? We're looking at that here today on Locked On NFL Scouting.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins, and we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins.
Joe, I'm gonna try and keep the vocal cords I'm not going to talk the whole time. You're here. But I'm going to pick up some of the slack. I'm going to do a little bit more than my 1/11th to make sure that your vocal cords allow you to do Locked On Bills later today when the time comes.
You know, we're going to do the best we can. Allergy season. Spring has sprung here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Spent a bunch of time outside this weekend, and I'm paying for that right now. I never really had allergy problems until the last couple of years. And so, yeah, here we are.
It's that whole getting older thing, right?
I guess, man. I was in the steam room for like 15 minutes this morning, trying to do my best. I thought I was feeling good. And then you talk outside of your normal rhythm of just speaking to people, like for the podcast. It's like, okay, there it is.
Really quick.
There it is. Yep. So sorry for any screeches. I'll do the best I can today. We have good information. I don't know if it's going to sound good, but the information's good.
Yeah. It's one of those things like as you get older, your body changes. Just like I remember when we were younger, like you wouldn't have players run 40 times at pro days and have 0.2 of a difference between reported times for Tet McMillan ran his 40 yesterday.
Yeah. What was it?
Ran somewhere between a 4.45 and a 4.6. It's
right.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Just run at the combine, people. Just run at the freaking combine, please.
Well, when you choose not to run the combine, something's probably up a little bit, right? Yeah. And the thing about the Tet one yesterday, I think 4.45 or 4.55 is an expected and fine time for McMillan. Yeah. It's a fine time. But when the first one that comes out is the only one that's not sourced by multiple scouts for multiple teams, and it's conveniently the lowest, and it's been out for an hour, so that's the one that social media grabs onto, that's playing the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know how this game's played. We've been in this industry long enough. We've had enough DMs and assertions and asks and favors and this, that, the other thing. And the social media age is the number that hits the timeline first is the only one that matters, regardless of how many other team stopwatches you can crowdsource or tap into.
All right. So Tet McMillan runs somewhere within a 4.45 and a 4.6. And we'll see if he can help some of the receiver needy teams in the NFL this year.
Good segue.
Pretty good
we're
segue.
Looking at needs today.
Yeah.
Here on the show.
The thinnest position rooms in the NFL. So we've scoured these rosters. We've looked at depth charts, and we're coming today to discuss the biggest issues out there still. And look, these games aren't going to be played until September. So there's plenty of time to get this stuff figured out.
Say that again.
Games are not played until September.
Oh, we have 6 months until first.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that fan bases can't freak out about everything not being perfect right now.
It's awful.
You know what the worst part is? This is the worst part. It's like some team has a big need, right? Like it's obvious need. And then the team signs a player at another position and they're like, well, can that guy play cornerback?
Can he protect the quarterback?
Right. Like,
Can he block outside?
Be so singular. Like, you don't have to be so small brained. You know what I mean? Like you can.
And then you sign a player who's clearly not like an answer at that spot.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, the order in which they sign doesn't matter.
Right. It's crazy.
It doesn't matter that, as an example, the Dolphins signed Jackson Carman before they signed another starting caliber right guard in free agency.
Can he play defensive tackle?
They still haven't done anything. The league year's been open for 6 days.
Yeah. All right.
Now, there are spots and situations for teams to be in that look a little dire right now.
Yeah.
And the answers list in free agency looks dire as well.
Yep.
And that's some of the intersection of what we're going to get into here today on the show. So all of that just aside, there are spots where teams should have a little bit of anxiety for what their answers are going to look like. And Joe's curated a list, and we're going to work our way through position by position in the NFL for the most dire situations at all of these positions.
Well, we'll start with quarterback, and it's pretty robust, right? There are some teams that need answers at quarterback, and the Browns, the Steelers, the Giants, the Titans. The Browns right now, it's Kenny Pickett. For the Steelers, it's the
Rudolph and Thompson.
Right now, you can't overlook the playoff experience that both these guys have. Right, you can't overlook it. But those are not answers. The Giants, Tommy DeVito, the only player on the roster, and then the Titans, Will Levis and Brandon Allen. Like
Titans, Loki might have the best situation out of those 4 teams.
I don't know, man. I would say maybe
Tommy DeVito.
No, I'm taking Mason Rudolph. Isn't Mason Rudolph's the best player out of these quarterbacks that we just mentioned, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So I'll go with that.
At least Will's got some upside, though.
You know, he's got an upside to do goofy stuff, too. So it scares me a lot whenever I watch him play. As a dynasty owner of Will Levis, I am greatly concerned.
Yeah. And to your point, those 3 teams, or 3 of those 4 teams, are the top 4 teams or top 3 teams picking in the NFL draft with, I don't know, how is Jackson Dart going to chase down Shedeur Sanders?
Hey, Mel Kiper finally did it. Not only mocked him in the first round, they put him in the top 10 to the Saints.
Did he?
Yeah, mock draft that he dropped this morning. Isn't that crazy? Like nothing's happened. Nothing. He's not been a single game played. How does a quarterback go from not in the first round to the top 10? It's just amazing. And it's a yearly tradition.
Maybe. Supply and demand.
Well,
and shame on the Saints if that's the case. Now, obviously, you have to make a decision on what to do with Derek Carr before you get to the draft. But man, you did that restructure with Derek Carr for cap compliance when he was flirting around with getting traded. Like maybe you should have just gone with Spencer Rattler and done the hard thing. But Mickey Loomis will tell you they've never done anything wrong. You know.
Hey, listen, Daniel Jeremiah literally just put out a mock draft. Jackson Dart also in the first round here. You're going 21 to the Steelers. So, yeah, I guess it's catch up and get Jackson Dart in your first round mock draft day today. What a moment.
Okay.
What a moment.
Well, so that's a testament to the quarterback needs that exist across the league. How about running back? What do you got running back, Joe?
Yeah, I got some running backs. I think the Raiders, Raheem Mostert, Sincere McCormick, Zamir White.
Don't you slander Raheem Mostert.
I am going to slander Raheem Mostert. He's particularly been bad against the Bills. And
he just likes to fumble against Buffalo.
You know, that's my favorite thing about him. That's honestly, I'm going to miss that. But come on, dude. Like he's a north of 30 running back that I think you saw some decline last year. Well, and Zamir White didn't give us anything to be excited about either.
He was more hurt than was let on last year as well. So, I mean, that's always been the book on Raheem. So now you're what, 32? Got hurt week 1.
Yeah. He's always hurt.
Middle of the season in the doghouse. Well, apparently he cut like 15 pounds last season from the season before, 10, 15 pounds.
It didn't help him because I think his best season was the season before.
Right. It's a big people game, right?
Yeah. Well, and this will be his first opportunity outside of McDaniel, right? Hasn't he been with McDaniel his whole life in that scheme?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So.
Pretty much. For his productive NFL years, yes.
So the Raiders need a running back. I also think the Broncos are in dire need of a running back. Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, and Tyler Beatty. That's what we're going to war with right now. And, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious big need that exists out there. All right, we're going to talk the rest of the offense here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. I love to pick my favorites. I got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel Makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. You can stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. Plus, it's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
So real quick, I know we got to get boogieing, but we only have offense and defense. So that's working in our favor here as we start segment 2. Did you see where you had DJ had Gray Zabel?
I didn't. Only thing I did is I saw it come on my timeline, and I control F Jackson Dart to see if he was in there.
Well, he gave Buffalo Kenneth Grant at 30. So
okay,
Merry Christmas to you.
Dude, that's who Mel Kiper had the Bills drafting too. How and what planet is Kenneth Grant getting to 30?
We're going to find out.
God.
We're going to find out. Gray Zabel went 16 to Arizona.
Oh, let's boogie, baby. Let's boogie.
It's the blurb that has my attention. It's not what he did. It's what he said. There will be quite a few teams targeting Zabel in this area of the draft.
Bada bing. This might be what we do tomorrow. We got 2 big-time mock drafts. We might have to break them down.
You got 3. You got mine.
The Kyle's. Yeah, I mean, what a day.
There you go.
What a day. What a day.
So let me ask you this. Theoretically, could San Francisco draft Gray Zabel to play on their offensive line?
100%, yeah.
Could Dallas draft Gray Zabel to replace Zach Martin?
Yes.
Could the Dolphins use Gray Zabel to upgrade over Liam Eichenberg after signing James Daniels? Could the Colts draft Gray Zabel to play right guard and replace
There's
Will
a chance.
Fries?
There's a chance.
Could the Falcons theoretically draft Gray Zabel to play center after losing Drew Dahlman to a big free agency contract?
That's the least likely so far.
Okay. Could Arizona draft Gray Zabel, play on their offensive line? Sure. Could the Bengals use an upgraded offensive guard?
I think it might be the floor.
Could the Seattle Seahawks draft Gray Zabel to play any of their interior trio positions?
Yeah.
We just did the entire teens.
Yeah, there's plenty.
The entire teens could use Gray Zabel.
Yeah. He's gonna go.
All right.
Let's go to tight ends here. I have 2. Let's wait for a second for wide receivers.
I'll shut up.
All right, tight ends. I have the Colts, where we're rocking with Drew Ogletree, Jelani Woods, and Will Mallory. I think we can upgrade
Woods.
that.
This is the year.
Nah, I don't know, man. He's been banged up and hasn't really built on that rookie season. How about the Jets as well? Jeremy Ruckert's the only reasonable option on the team at tight end. So, I mean, I like Jeremy Ruckert as a number 2, but there's you got to have something a little more dynamic than that at tight end.
I agree. I don't think, Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion was the 7th round pick in 23 and had a lot of fanfare for a good pro day, but it felt like he was a couple years away from being a couple years away. So, and there's not really a lot to work with in free agency. So those 2 teams, conveniently enough, drafted tight ends in my latest mock draft.
Those are good spots. So Warren and Loveland, there's their new homes.
I agree with you that those are big tight end spots, big tight end needs.
All right, at wide receiver, I have 3 teams down. The Patriots, it's Kayshon Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, Pop Douglas, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and Mac Hollins. Do we have anything there? Bunch of number 3s and 4s, maybe.
The question I was going to ask you is, what is the highest number in a receiver room that ideally any of those players would be? And it's probably 3.
Probably 3.
Pop Douglas is a 3.
Yeah. So we got Mac Hollins. We have Matt. What's the quarterbacks? Drake May.
Mac Jones.
Jeez, I was all over the place there. Drake May, year 2. We got to get them some guys to throw the football to. I think they wanted to, right? I think they had a vision.
Tried.
Yeah.
It was not without for effort.
There was money they were willing to spend, but then they went back to their teams.
And then they decided smartly, I think, to not do the KJ Osborne thing again.
Right. Exactly.
KJ Osborne didn't make it through the first year of that contract. That was a really ambitious deal that he got last year.
Yeah. How about the Jets as well? I mean, Garrett Wilson, that's an A-list player, but then Alan Lazard, Malachi
who's on
Corley,
the trade block.
Yeah, and then Gibson, the returner. We got to get some help here for Justin Fields if he's going to have a chance. I mean, I'm excited about Garrett Wilson, but I think when you look at the tight end situation and the overall wide receiver picture,
it's the pass catcher groups.
We got some work to do here for the Jets. And then Seattle, I like Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba as slot players, but who's playing on the outside here is like Marquez Valdez-Scantling's our best outside receiver. I think we need to get ourselves a perimeter player. Again, slot is fine. We're good to go in the slot, but we need somebody that can win on the outside or else I think it's going to take away from your slot players.
What I think it should be in a perfect world, I think this is a field stretcher. I don't necessarily want to
MVS, baby. MVS.
Well, yes, but I think if you told me Valdez-Scantling is going to be the permanent Z that's just going to run your lift and get 4 targets a game because they're going to be the deeper shots down the field, I don't know. You've got a seam threat at tight end and Noam Fant that I'm worried about what that outlook looks like for him because of the volume of JSN and Cooper Kupp in the middle of the field. Kind of feel like you need big time speed on both spots on the perimeter. So whether that's Matthew Golden
right
at 18, whether that's I'm trying to think of somebody a little deeper in the draft,
Jalen Knoll.
Yeah, but he's another guy with some inside
right
capability as well. I wouldn't mind Jaden Higgins, the other Iowa State wide receiver who has down the field ability. He's not as fast. He's not a 4.3 guy, but it'll be really interesting to see what they do. But I would be looking for a field stretcher if I were Seattle to really create spacing in more ways than just one half of the field with the Z, if you will.
So that's what I had a receiver. Let's go to offensive line. And I know that there's a lot of offensive line needs out there, but I really tried to focus in on like, we got problems, not that there's a passable answer, but we have problems. And I'll start with the Jets at right tackle, where it's Carter Warren, who's an unserious player, and Max Mitchell. We can't go to war with that. So Olu Fashanu coming off of injury at left tackle, we got our fingers crossed there, but we don't have a stable option on the right side. I watch enough Carter Warren in the NFL to know he can't go.
So I think it's worth noting, I think they do have a backup player in Chuks Okorafor that should make this roster. Should he play? No. But I think he should at least make the roster.
He's got some experience. Yeah, it's just since he left Pittsburgh, it's like we couldn't make it work with New England, so I kind of rosterable, I think is probably the right way to put it.
Yeah. So I think the tough thing with New York is I think the entire depth of the unit is really bad, with the exception of Josh Myers, who has not taken a snap outside of center since he started playing at Ohio State. I think he can play guard, but he hasn't done it. So there's no proof of concept there.
And I wouldn't want to mess with Tippmann at center, right? Like, I feel like that's a good thing.
Right.
So we're another Patriots, obviously. I think the left side here in general, where it's like at tackle, it's either Vidarian Lowe or Caden Wallace. I know Wallace is a young player, but then at guard, it's Layden Robinson and City So. And those are all players that it didn't go the right way for them last year. And so I think the right side's in pretty good shape with Morgan Moses and Wayne Yu, Cole Strange kind of kicking to center. But that left side, we got to get figured out. And then I'd also include Seattle's interior offensive line. It's a little tricky to me because I feel like they might have answers. Like Christian Haynes was a day 2 pick. Anthony Bradford was day 2 pick. Oluwatimi, like maybe he can go. Like maybe that's their plan, but that feels very upgradable to me.
Very incomplete profile for
Super
that whole
incomplete.
Group. And I have to imagine it's disappointing for Haynes to get beat out the way that he did as a 3rd round pick by another rookie who was not the 3rd round pick and investment that you made.
Yeah.
Some of this also is a challenge because of the offensive scheme that they ran there. So you got young guys in a scheme that felt very disjointed, I think is a good adjective to describe.
Yeah, I like that.
What it was like for Seattle from a protection standpoint last year, and just kind of got away from the DNA of what a lot of those players, or what the core of that group for established players, the vision was with Pete Carroll.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk defense here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right. Defensive tackle, Kyle. This was actually the position group where I had the most teams down, which I think speaks to maybe some of the opportunities that exist in this coming draft.
Right.
But I'll start with the 49ers. I think this might be the worst situation in the league at defensive tackle. It's Jordan Elliott and Evan Anderson. Kevin Givens, who they love, is like the depth player there. But especially for a team that's kind of had issues with their front the last few years, we're no closer to having this figured out.
I would argue that Miami's worse off than that. With Zach Sealer, Neil Farrell,
but they at least had the Dolphins are next. I had them next down, but like at least they have Zach Sealer, who is singularly like an outstanding player.
I mean, my concern is just if you're going with a base 3-4 defense, I don't think you can field a defensive front right now.
No, Miami can't. And they're on my list. Like they're on my list, but I think I'd take the 49ers as worse. At least you have Zach Sealer.
Because they don't have a pillar player.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
49ers and Dolphins. I also have the Texans down where, like, I mean, Tim Settle had a great season for them this past year, but like Sheldon Rankins is back and he's kind of cooked, man. That's like Kurt Heinisch and Mary.
He was rough in Cincinnati last year.
Who's playing the nose here on this even front defense?
Kurt Heinisch, obviously.
Well,
maybe Tommy Togiai can do it.
And that's why the Texans are on the list for defensive tackle. I also have the Chiefs down. I mean, obviously Chris Jones is off the charts, but what else do we have? Jerry Tillery, Siaki Ika, Fabian Lovett. That's what they have as down linemen to go with Jones, like non-edge players.
Yeah, this group probably needs two defensive tackles.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, I think Derek Notty's kind of cooked, which gets us to the Jets. I have, they have Quinn and Williams, but then who? Derek Notty, Leonard Taylor, Byron Cowart.
Be a good Kenneth Grant spot in the first round.
Right. He's not getting to 30. Phi Mathis, like maybe he'll make sense as the as the former top 50 pick that he is, but come on, it ain't going to happen, dude. So I think 49ers, Dolphins, Texans, Chiefs, Jets are in big time need of some answers at defensive tackle.
What do you got on the edge?
Only one team that I thought was like dire. It's the Titans. I mean, I like Arden Key, but that can't be our number one outside pass rusher. I know they brought in Draymond Jones, but I don't really think of him as like a true edge.
Right.
So I think they have a big time need, which is interesting because they're going to be in position to maybe get the best player in the draft, which probably is Abdul Carter versus the biggest need that, any team would have as a quarterback. So I have to figure that out. At linebacker,
I think they should feel good about their ability to come back around the horn and get a pass rusher they like in the early second round.
Yeah.
I think there's enough names there that if I were Mike Borgonzi, I think that would kind of be my tentative plan. And of course you let the board dictate itself to you with who's available, but quarterback there. And then is it James Pierce? Is it Nick Scorton? Is it like, there's different body types that should be available for you too.
Yeah. Linebacker, I have 4 teams down. The Titans, we have Otis Reese, Cody Barton, and Cedric Gray as our off-ball backers. I mean, Cody Barton, I guess, is starting caliber player, but I'm not sure what else we have. The Colts, they used to have all the linebackers. Now it's Zaire Franklin, and then it's probably like Jalen Carlisle, who was like a 5th-round pick that got some run late in the season.
You remember Cam McGrone?
Yeah, I'm doubtful that that's going to work out, but they don't have anything really besides Zaire Franklin. The Rams, Omar Spates looks like he's going to be a find for them as a UDFA, but then it's Elias Neal and Tony Fields. We need a running mate there.
Carson Schwesinger's spot. Right there.
I get why you kind of put that one on the radar.
I'm on it hard.
Shout out to them for like being done with Christian Roseboom. Like that was kind of old and tired.
Right. It was played itself out as much as they seemed to like him. It was like, I don't know. It's like that and Troy Reader, right? There's a couple of guys that they really latched on to that. it run its course, and Spates is a nice hit for them. So they just need that guy next to him.
I have the Raiders as well. They lose Divine Diablo to the Falcons, Robert Spillane to the Patriots, and we have Landon Roberts and Amari Burney. We gotta upgrade that.
This feels like the Demetrius Knight team to me. The South Carolina linebacker. He's 245-pound thumper with length, and he can run like linear wise. He's got good burst, and I don't know if I was going to try to replace Spillane. That's the guy that in this draft class I'd be looking at if I were the Raiders beat Demetrius Knight.
All right, at corner I have the Raiders. What do we have at corner outside of Jack Jones? Nothing. There's nothing. It's devoid of options.
Well, you got Eric Stokes, Darnay Holmes, and Eric Stokes.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they might be your CB2 and nickel right now.
That's why we have them on the list.
You're right.
I also think the Packers have a big need at corner because I'm operating that Jair Alexander won't be back. So we have Nate Hobbs. Okay, that's cool. Keyshawn Nixon, who's really just a slot. And then what? Carrington Valentine and Kamal Hayden. Like we need an answer here.
Yeah, it was an issue before Stokes left. And then Stokes leaves, and then Alexander continues to leave. The CB2 spot was a hardship to begin with. And now, oh, by the way, Alexander's probably going to be on his way out the door. And even if he doesn't, he's not been healthy. I mean, this is the missed games are a big time problem for Jair too, with the dollars that they have invested there. So it's why I kind of get Nate Hobbs, whether he ends up playing in the nickel or he plays outside, and I know he missed a little bit of time last year too, but that's a really good tone setting type of player that they should feel really good about what their safety group looks like. And then Nate Hobbs with some interchangeability. Be interesting to see, that six pick for them is, they're on here for running back, a Genty opportunity. They're on there with cornerback, which I think could make some sense.
Yeah.
A couple spots.
Will Johnson, maybe. I didn't have anything down for safety. I thought every team had at least a reasonable path. My honorable mentions, real quick here. The Cardinals at linebacker, Akeem Davis, Gaither, and Mac Wilson. We can do better. The Ravens at corner. We have Wiggins and Humphrey, but who's our other guys? Like TJ Tampa is a draft pick. Jalen Armour Davis is another draft pick.
Yeah. The
Bills at corner, opposite of Benford, it's Dane Jackson, who's been a reserve for a long time for them. Panthers at wide receiver, Coker, Leggett, Thielen. I think we can get another body here. That makes sense. Bengals at right guard. We can't go to war with Cody Ford, right? That's not serious.
I think that guard situation in general with Volson regressing the way that he has.
And Ted Karras is like 33. Like we gotta redo this, right? This interior offensive line needs a redo. Cowboys at running back. I'm not excited about Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Sorry, can't get excited there. Texans left tackle Blake Fisher. I thought he was terrible this past year. Obviously a second round pick, so they have hopes there. And then I put Dolphins corner with opposite of Ramsey. We have Storm Duck, Cam Smith, and I guess Artie Burns. So stuff to figure out.
Yep. So lots of work left to be done. And we look forward to seeing how teams choose to answer it. But that's going to do it for us here on the show. We got a big free agency bonanza the last week that's wrapping up. We got probably a big mock draft bonanza coming tomorrow on the show with a couple of heavy hitters in the draft space dropping mock drafts. So you have that to look forward to tomorrow on Locked On NFL Scouting. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He's Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. And we will see you all again tomorrow.